you probably didn't know Leoch is a Singapore company. So the founder, chairman is a Singaporean. I'm a Singaporean, and we have been expanding our business across multiple countries. Dates back to 2000, right? So we listed in Hong Kong in early 2000, but as now you know that I think the world has been developed, Trump and the non-Trump camp, right? So I think we have a plan to list our overseas assets in US this year as well, right? So we are truly a global company. Unlike I think some of the Chinese battery companies, they go overseas or in the Chinese call very Yiquan. We were born as a global citizen, and the headquarters is now in Singapore, right? So if you're asking me, right, we continue to strengthen our install base in US. We also, I think, had the leading position with all the major telecoms like Vodafone and the Sound Surfers in UK and Europe. And ironically, right, we are not doing so well in the Asia Pac countries, being a Singapore company, right? So honestly, I think when the ASEAN economy is developing, this is our one of the strategic growth zone, right? And of course, I think in the Middle East and of course, I think Africa, Latin America, those are our emerging growth regions. I think we want to do that. So that's one fold. Second fold is, as Leoch is, I think, a global leader in the lead-acid batteries. We probably occupy around 5% of the market share. We are a little bit behind in the lithium batteries, energy system storage, UPS for AI data center, and so therefore have a soft layer, AI layer on top to make a smart energy management solutions, right? So just adding this morning, we have been launching our product, focusing for the city side or city infrastructure side of the smart energy solutions, cover both the smart energy platform and the use AI to scale our batteries into the lithium and the ESS and the UPS, right? So we're just launching our products, and we have a serious plan to really, I think, grow in those new space as our Horizon 2 and the Horizon 3. It's really which market you want to focus. As Leoch has been developed from the lead acid, right? So all of our customers are majority behind the meter, right? So that's, I think, for the city infrastructure. For example, telecom, data center, commercial and industrial estates, business. In Singapore, SMRT, SPST is our customer. Changi Airport is our customer. Therefore, we are not so good at the in front of meter solutions. Those like 400 megawatt hour, 1 gigawatt hour, and this type of solution. Because I think in Singapore we don't have that markets, right? So that's why we choose not to participate in the generation side and the grid side of the energy storage, but more on the behind the meter, right? Which is the commercial and the industrial solutions. The key to really promote that is identify the economic user case for those, I think, battery storage, right? Because most of the case, I think, in China is simply just doing the price arbitrage. But in other countries like Singapore, we have a very strong grid. The peak value difference is only less than 10%. So that's why we have to use the smart EMS to value stack some other user cases like a demand response, virtual power plants, and the frequency regulations and so on and so forth, right? So the AI and the EMS has to enhance the transactional value of the ESS, not only just simply price arbitrage. So that's the difficulty. And of course, we also need to create multiple vertical industrial solution templates. Leoch can leapfrog in the telecom, in data center, in C&I, which we are strong. But we also need to work with our ecosystem partners. For example, Schneider in the Net Zero Islands, which just I think we have a case in Sulawesi Islands of Indonesia, right? So we help, I think, convert the whole islands with a microgrid on solar. And guess what? We save, I think, the diesel by more than 20%. And another interesting fact is all the turtles are coming back. So the resort owner is pretty happy. Yeah? As I think they are famous for diving, but because they run a lot of diesel, all the turtles left. And now they're happily coming back. Yeah. In the EV markets, we are not so much for the EV motive batteries. Right? We have the EV batteries on the lead acid for the motorcycles, but also for both EV car and the ICE car, Leoch is one of the market leader If it's not top one, then it's a top second, right? So, but we're focusing very much on the starting stock batteries, SOI. But we do the business in OEM. So today, all the big brands in China and all the IC brands I think in Europe countries, in fact, inside I think the battery shell is Leoch. The battery management system we are developing in Singapore is solely developed by the 20 Singaporeans. And we meet all the cybersecurity standard as defined by GovTech, which is part of the Singapore government, right? So I think we have been doing a lot of projects for the government in the past, like the Trace Together, like I think Ministry of Home Affairs, Energy Efficiency Project, HDB for the IoT platform, and so on so forth. I mean the team, right? So we inherited the same security development life cycles, right? And we also, I think, do the type of VAPT and so on so forth to make sure this cybersecurity are the utmost important. And that's important because some of our clients in Europe they're clearly telling us, I don't need, I think, the China chips, and I want the software to be cyber secure. So in Singapore, we have the benefits to do that. A unique position, right, as to kind of, I think, develop this as to cater for the European markets and the US markets, right? So another beauty is Singapore is a small living lab, because if you're in Singapore, you know, travel from the west, east, and north and the south is all within 1 hour. So it's a nice living lab in my idea. So we put a lot of, I think, besides the software, cybersecurity, AI, data scientists, put a lot of our product managers, right, in Singapore. So they understand the different requirements from different regions and the countries, fuse them together, and the develop products can really meet, I think, the global demands. So the real, I think, the key as to differentiate against other hardware, storage, and batteries and so on so forth is really the value of the AI and IoT. I will give you, I think, a simple examples, right? So we have, I think, a UPS product we cater for the AI data center, right? Has been very compact, very safe. We have all the, I think, the file safety standards like a UL 9540A and so on so forth. But it's not enough. It's not good enough, right? So that's why we also scale the AI to develop a predictive thermal management. So you would do the sensing on if these over temperatures developing within the UPS cabinets, right? Or there will be, I think, other contextual conclusion and the rules engine detects whether we are in the safe or not safe status, right? And another one is a predictive maintenance, right? So when we develop a BMS, we also use IoT to scale this up to the remote BMS. So without going through and travel to the millions of, I think, the telecom sites, now you can centrally monitor and capture the alerts, and then you can do the remote configurations. You can also do the over-the-air update, right? So this is, again, a typical case of the IoT, right? As to save, I think, the O&M cost more than 25%. Again, this probably not so much on the Leoch itself alone, but I think we are working with all the research institute, governments, and I think across the whole Asia Pac to develop, I think, the future battery tech, and then use the AI and IoT to further enhance the performance of the future battery tech. So on the decarbonization and together with the digitalization journey, because for most of the ASEAN countries, right, besides Singapore, the first thing we have to think is to make a living, right? So decarbonization is important, but also most importantly, how to make an ESS to cut the cost, to make not only just the environmental sustainability, but also make the economic sustainability as to be everlasting, right? So I have been in the renewable industry for some times, right? Since I was in the Envision Energy and now Leoch as the global CTO. I've been working in Schneider for the first 7 years, IBM for the 3 years, and Accenture for 7 years, right? And these unique experiences has makes me firmly believe the change is not just about technology, it's the process, and it's also about people, right? So we have to really have this, I think, change culture or change impact to align all the stakeholders. And also, we have to make a quick win to let, I think, the people see it's not only just, I think, for the sake of the green, but the green is also the new smart. And the smart can help, I think, make the dollar savings and also increase the profit. If we are managed, if we all manage to do that and combine the technology, people, process, then this change can really happen. It's not, I think, a thought process, it's a reality. So Leoch has a business just focusing on the recycling of the battery material itself, right? And we are also working with, I think, the partners within each countries, which Leoch has a business, right? To really, I think, look at the full cycle of, I think, the battery. Yeah, not only just in the deployment stage, but also in the long-term services, but also in the recycling, right? So you mentioned about the second life and the so on so forth. So we are doing that, and even more as we are a fully global responsible citizens, right? You look at the, I think, the Europe under their EUSD and so on so forth. Is also, I think, a mandate. We have really to take care of not only the battery has been used, but also, I think, has been recycled properly. Yeah, so we are doing all of, I think, this initiative, and we are not only just doing that as a cost center, but also we are trying to turn that into a revenue center and the profit centers. Which you mentioned, the electrification, for example, the EV adoption is causing the change, right? As we know, a lot of, I think, the cities in the Southeast Asia has been developed across the Commonwealth time, right? In the British colony and so on and so forth. So those cities has been built in 1940s, right? And therefore, they never imagine, I think, the grid will have to absorb so much of the peak load from the EV and ultra fast chargings, right? So we are talking about the grid for some of the substations is only 60 hertz, 60, I think, the kilowatt. But the ultra fast in Singapore is like near 500 because LTA made the policy 500. So we have probably only reached the 498. But still, the 60 kilowatt cannot handle that requirements, right? What you do? You upgrade all the substations. You don't have the land in Singapore, and it costs you, according to LTA, 2 billion USD dollars. Spend 2 years. Or you can simply say, I put up a couple of PV, ESS, and EV charging. So I can boost up the capacity and the default my substation upgrade. So other than government support, right, the industries and the academies and some of, I think, the banks like ADB and all this probably really have to join hands together. But we can't really fully rely on the subsidy, right? It has to be a user cases to be self-economical viable, right? For example, the net zero islands we are making together with the Schneider in Indonesia, right? We found out use the solar and the ESS, we can be even cheaper than diesel, and we save might be more than 30%. Payback is 5 years. Yeah, same examples, right? So it's not only to make the turtle happy to come back to the islands, it's also to make, I think, the resort owner happy. This is a win-win situation. So I guess it's still a combination of the governments, right, of the industries, right, and of course, I think the research innovation from the universities, from IHL. So we all need to join hands together. So answer is yes, right? So right in Hong Kong, and also again, the client CEO came to our forum this morning. We are helping them to roll out a 300 ultra fast charging points in Hong Kong, right? So the solution again, Hong Kong is like a Singapore, great constraints, 50 kilowatt and so on so forth. So they can't wait, and therefore we co-innovate the solutions and they use the AI to dynamically adjust and boost up the capacity to handle different grid constraints of these 300 sites. Otherwise, I think it's very tedious job. Um, that's why the Singapore Battery Consortium I earlier mentioned, right? They also form, I think, regional alliances with their counterparts in Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, and the so on so forth, Vietnam, and the so on so forth, right? So really, when we look at this whole countries, battery recycle is one issue, but also the battery investment. Just recently, like I think Indonesia government has announced, they I think get I think a foreign investment from a China battery manufacturer with their national battery manufacturer, and they I think tap on the I think the rich nickel materials I think in Indonesia to put up this I think huge plants, and that has created many of jobs, right, for the local Indonesians. Not only just I think for them to make a living, but also for them to learn and for them to grow. Wastage recycling is everywhere, but I'm sure now with this I think the battery consortium, they're really putting a standard on how best to provide the protections and the recycling problems, because like any single coin on both sides, we have to weigh in which are the benefits, and we promote that, and what are the I think the some of I think the drawbacks, and how we mitigate the effects. Yeah, I'm sure because battery industry is going to a more standardized way, even including recycling. The scientific knowledges have a better way to manage that, right? And I'm I think a positive guy. I look at how this can help create the jobs, create I think the knowledge, and also we manage the later part of the recycling as to minimize the damage to the earth.